Namaste, welcome back to Stithiprakna channel, and you are watching AWS real-time cloud projects for beginner to expert level, and we are almost becoming an expert. We are almost in the process. We are very close to becoming an expert. And as promised, if you followed everything that I told you in these projects from project 1 till project 95, if you watch the projects, watch the videos, watch or read certain things like the concepts in throughout the lab. By the time you finish 94 projects, you will get at least 4 years of AWS experience. Yes, 4 years of AWS engineer experience, you will get it. And trust me with that. Okay. Okay. So I know 94 projects is too many, but again, this is something if you are going to get 3 to 4 years of experience, sometimes you have to watch again and again. I am making this, but I watch some videos that I already did because we won't remember them. I am doing hands-on here, still I won't remember it because these are too many things that we are doing. So I have to repeat this again and again. I will watch some of my own videos again and again to, you know, make it habitual that, okay, this service, these are the things, this service, these are the things. So even a person who actually worked for AWS won't remember it because we don't do all these things every day, right? We only do certain subset of things or subset of tools we use in a particular project. So it's normal. Nobody will expect that you no expect you for you to remember everything. Anyways, that being said, we have so far finished 73 projects, and in this video we are going to do our 74th project, which is about increasing security with VPC endpoints. So let's go ahead and see what the use case here is. Hello, thanks for coming. I lead a team of researchers located in a space station. We are conducting an experiment to investigate the effects of exposure to microgravity on astronauts living in space. Hey, happy to help. How can I assist? We collect protected health information on the astronauts, which needs to be stored and tightly controlled. However, the researchers also need to load the PHI data into an application to run simulations for the experiment. The application is currently hosted on an EC2 instance located within a secure VPC private subnet with restricted network access. Do you know of a solution that might help us? Absolutely. You can use virtual private cloud endpoints. With a VPC endpoint, you can privately connect a VPC to supported AWS services such as S3 without requiring an internet gateway or NAT gateway or VPN connection or AWS direct connection. We can create VPC endpoints to access Amazon S3 from Amazon EC2 instance that is located in a private subnet that runs your application. And Siddha, remember, there are two kinds of VPC endpoints. What are they? Yes, interface and gateway. For S3 and DynamoDB, which interface you will use? Which endpoint you will use? Gateway endpoint. And for the remaining services, you will use interface endpoint. To further improve data security, we can create a VPC endpoint policy to restrict use of the endpoint to specific resources. That sounds perfect. I want to get started right away. Can you help us implement this solution? Of course. Great. I can't wait to see this in action. So in this lab, we are going to learn how to configure VPC endpoints to connect to a VPC to AWS services and interact with S3 through a VPC endpoint in a private subnet and create a VPC endpoint policy to restrict the resource access. I think we kind of did it in one or two projects. I don't remember it exactly which project, but I think we did it. Okay, let's go to our video concepts. And here are our video concepts. Most of them you might have already watched them, but again, you can watch them again to review it. I watch these all the time. Maybe I'm not watching them here, but I watch them through my videos. So I highly recommend you to watch it. How will you watch it? There will be a playlist pop up here. Click on it. It will take you to AWS tutorials for beginners playlist, and there search each video, watch it, and then come back to this project. Let's look at the steps. This solution includes a running application in private subnet. You can see there is a public subnet and a private subnet, and this is the application we are talking about. Uh, with no route to the internet. Obviously, private subnet means there is no route to the internet. We cannot connect it to the public internet or no to and fro. Providing data security by limiting the attack surface to only internal traffic. The application might encounter problems, though, when it needs to access data from services such as S3, right? Because when you try to connect it to S3, it goes on public internet. Or, for example, yeah, I think this use case, at least for the endpoint, that would be the use case. To avoid this problem, AWS provides VPC endpoints, which you can use to privately connect to a VPC, connect a VPC to supported AWS services. Communication through the VPC endpoint does not require resources in the VPC to have public IP addresses at all. A public instance in EC2, for example, this one can connect to S3 through a internet gateway. As you can see from here, it can connect. But again, this is through public internet, okay, or the normal internet that we use. A private EC2 instance, which is something here, has no route to the internet because we don't have internet gateway attached to this subnet, so there is no way that we can connect to S3. We cannot do that because there is no internet gateway. And because S3 is located outside the VPC, that's the problem, right? Because you cannot host S3 inside your VPC because this is a global service by AWS. It is outside your VPC. If you see, this is your VPC and S3 is outside it. So you cannot connect. If you want to connect, you need to have an internet gateway. You are not able to access S3 gateway. So instead of using an internet gateway, the private EC2 instance can use a VPC gateway endpoint to directly access S3 without using public resources. With VPC gateway endpoints, you can use an endpoint policy, which you can see here, to specify which S3 buckets the private EC2 instance can access. For example, you can provide access to the lab data bucket and restrict access to the lab logging bucket. Now that comes with those access policies and whatnot. Now let's look at our practice lab goals. We will explore the infrastructure of a VPC with both a public and private subnet. There is no such thing as this one, like you cannot go and okay, I want a public subnet. These are not different types. When a internet gateway attached to a subnet, it is considered as a public subnet. When there is no internet gateway attached to the subnet, it is considered as a private subnet. Then configure a VPC endpoint to enable connectivity to private command host. Then we'll configure VPC endpoint to enable the private command host to interact with S3. Then we'll add a VPC endpoint policy to the Amazon S3 endpoint to restrict access to logging. So basically that's what we're going to do. Let's jump into the practice. Let's start the lab. And we have the endpoint policy file here. Let's download it. As usual, I won't read the concept for all of them, but I highly recommend you to read it. Okay, we downloaded the file. Let's go to the VPC. And you can filter it out here, but it's okay. We will only have the default VPC and then the other VPC. Let's select it. Let's review. There are, as you can see in this VPC, there are two subnets, which is public subnet and private subnet. And again, I can show you what makes a subnet private and public. I think they are already doing that. So as you can see, the public subnet has a route with internet gateway, as you can see here. So from this, it will send you to the any IP address through the internet gateway. And same thing, if you look at the private subnet, you won't have that route. As you can see, there is no route, only local. So you can only talk to the local IP addresses. Okay, now let's go to the AWS Systems Manager. I am not sure why we are using the Systems Manager here. Maybe to log into the EC2 instance, we don't have to go here. We can go to the EC2 instance and connect from there, from the session manager, but they are just showing you in two different ways we can do that. Oh, okay, we are going to edit the preferences. So click on preferences, edit them, idle session timeout 60 minutes, Not sure why we are doing that, but that's okay. So let's go to systems manager, then session manager, and then edit ideal timeout 60 minutes. Did 60 minutes or 60 seconds? 60 minutes. And then let's go to the security groups. And there is one security group that is created for system manager, I'm assuming. I don't know what SSM, yeah, system manager. And okay, so we are scrolling down, we are clicking security groups, then we are selecting that, and then we are clicking inbound rules and review that. So this security group looks like it has HTTPS access to this particular IP CEDAR range. Okay, so this is for the security with VPC endpoints looks like. Okay, let's see. Choose the checkbox to SSM security group. Click that. SSM security group is allowing port 443 from local IP addresses. Here only HTTPS traffic is allowed. Security group, we already know what a security group does. Okay, we are just reviewing it. And then we are going to go to the public command host, and we are connecting to that EC2 instance using the session manager. And once we are here, we are typing export ps1. Let me copy this one for. Okay, so what are we doing here? This command shows that an active terminal session is running on the public command host and also labels the prompt to identify the active connection. In the terminal, run clear, not shown because it will just clear it. Okay. Tab open, you will return it to it later. Return to the previous browser tab with the EC2 console, not shown. Go to the next step. Okay, we are going to the private command host and we are connecting to it. Okay. Okay, but what are we doing here? Oh, okay. Here it is saying cannot connect to your instance. To connect to an instance using systems manager requires an IAM instance profile. You can create an instance profile and assign it to. Okay, so it looks like for this one that is not set up, so that's why we are unable to connect to it. The alert states that the connection is unavailable for the private command host. Recall that the route table only allowed local traffic. Okay, so this is what? This is a private, this instance is in the private subnet, right? Since it doesn't have route to the public one, you cannot. The session manager service resides outside of the VPC. Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. So the session manager service, it resides outside the VPC, hence we are unable to connect to it. You can still use other ways to connect to it, but if you have to use session manager, you cannot. Got it. Learned something new. Okay. Now let's go to the VPC endpoints, and they already created three. There are already three default VPC endpoints, but we are going to create another one. Okay, we are going to select we are going to name it SSM endpoint, and it's going to be for an AWS service. You can even create it for EC2 instance connect endpoint, uh, which we have seen one way to connect it to an EC2 instance. Private link ready partner services, and then the AWS services. And the AWS service we are going to choose is an SSM. Choose the radio button to select SSM. Why are we doing this? Because remember we were unable to connect it to that EC2 using session manager, right? So for that we are going to create this particular endpoint. Okay, so let's go there and let's select SSM. And what is the VPC? Lab VPC, that we already know. Let's scroll down and we have to select the availability zone and then the respective subnet. Obviously public we don't need it. This is the subnet that our EC2 instance was, where we were unable to use sessions manager, so we are going to select that one because in this particular availability zone these two subnets exist, that's why. And we are going to select IPv4. This makes sense actually. And then we are going to select the respective security group attached to that particular EC2 instance, which is this one. Okay, and review it, and you have the SSME endpoint, and it is pending. Wait for it. And now if you go to the private and click connect, sessions manager connect, this should successfully connect to it. I mean, it connected, and you can go ahead and enter this command prompt again. Again, this one says private command, the previous one said public command. Okay, good. So you have seen an EC2 instance in a private subnet, how we were able to use sessions manager for it by creating a VPC endpoint. Okay, now let's go to the lab bucket, and there will be a file, but copy the lab bucket, and let's go ahead and execute these commands. And we are going to what? Executing these in where? Public EC2 CD, the I think it's called what? Tilde? I don't know, whatever that. Siri, I don't know why Siri was activated. Yeah, it is going to go to the root directory, and then we are going to run this AWS configure. So if you want to run AWS CLI commands from EC2, then you have to configure it first using the AWS configure. As soon as you run it, it will ask you for access key ID, access key, nothing, but we entered this to give it the default region, which is US East 1. And then we are going to say AWS S3 LS to list the buckets. Okay, let's run that. And then let's scroll down. It is listing all the buckets. And what are we trying to do? We are running AWS S3 LS on the lab bucket. Again, if you point ls and then the lab bucket, then you will get all the objects that are in that particular bucket. And as you can see, as soon as you do that, it is listing demo.txt file. And if you and then they are trying to copy that file from the lab bucket to this particular folder. So this is what the command. I mean, you don't have to give tilde slash, you can give it dot, I guess, maybe it will work. And once they downloaded, they are doing less means it will give you uh, I guess the first 5 lines or so. So just like similar to more, I think less does that. Anyways, basically they just downloaded an S3 file showing that you can actually connect from public EC2 instance. Now they will try to redo the same thing using the private, I guess. So once that is done, review the output of the less command and note that the file contains only the word some text. To quit the command line, run that. Okay, that's fine. Now I think they will go to the, or they're still in the public itself. Okay, that's fine. Then what are they doing? They are echoing in the sense they are writing to that particular file. Echo just replies back with the same message whatever you put, and then they are writing this greater than symbol is called pipe symbol. If you already have the file and if you want to append it, you will use that one. If you use one greater than, then it will overwrite content in that particular file. And once you add data to that file, we are again copying back the modified file to the S3 using the again the command copy. But here you are changing the path. Previously when we did copy, the first option is S3, second option is local. Now it is local, the second option is S3. Okay. Okay, it is uploaded. Cool. And then if you go to that bucket, it will show that particular file. If you edit it, open it, it will show that some text, this is some random text, etc. Now we are going to go to the private and try to do the same. But again, as soon as you see AWS S3 LS, it won't give you anything back. Why? Because S3 is outside the VPC and you cannot connect from a private EC2 instance. So what do you have to do? Again, we will go to endpoints. We'll create an endpoint and let's name this S3 endpoint. And the AWS service we'll pick is S3, obviously, and the same lab VPC. And we'll select the private subnet. Okay, that's it. Available. And here we are going to go to policy. We don't have to do it, but why we are going to the policy? Because we are going to restrict further. Now you are giving your private EC2 instance access to S3, but to probably all the buckets on S3. I mean, we can add the policy even on the other side as well. But instead of giving full access, what are we doing? We are going to add custom access. Okay, is it already there? Oh, they are showing we have to perform steps of DIY section. I guess maybe they won't show it what to do here. That's fine. But after doing this, if you go and run the LS, it will list all the buckets. You can review it. Pretty much that's the practice lab. I mean, this is simple, but the thing is, I know the VPC endpoints, etc., but I think it improved my knowledge on the VPC endpoints by explaining certain things like S3 is outside the VPC, we already know, but sessions manager is outside the VPC. Makes sense to me right now. And now if we have a private subnet and want to access a service without leaving the private internet, then I know now what to do. That is awesome. I like it. Okay, now let's go to the first thing. Let's go to the VPC. Let's go to subnets. Okay, and if you see, we have public subnet. What makes this public? Because it has a route table where we are routing destination target to internet gateway. Okay, anything you can access on the public internet because it is attached, internet gateway is attached to this. Whereas private gateway, you don't have any route table defined, only local. So this can only connect to any local IP addresses within this seeder. It cannot connect to outside network because it doesn't have any internet gateway attached to the route table for this private subnet. Okay, now let's go to the session manager. We can go to system manager. Okay, and where is this one? Okay, okay, I need to refresh this. Looks like okay, and then let's go to session manager. Okay, let's go ahead and edit this to 60 minutes and save it. Okay, so that is done. And then let's go to the EC2 instance. No, are we going to the EC2 instance? No, we are going to the EC2 instance. And then we'll go to security groups. And then we'll click on this one and you can review the inbound rules wherein it is allowing only HTTPS over the port 443T on this one, right? You can see that. So literally it can. within this to everything. That is the security group. We are just seeing it. And now let's go to the EC2 machines. Go open it here. And if you click the public command host, it has the security group, SSM security group. And if you look at that one, even this has the same security group. So there is no difference between either of this. That is the security group that is connected to. Now let's click on this one and let's connect and connect. Again, remember this is a EC2 machine in the public subnet. So obviously it will connect because it has IGW internet gateway attached to it. Now let's just run this particular command. So this command, all it does is it will change this one with this name so that we can identify this is the public host name, because we are going to open this and the private side by side so that we don't get confused. Okay. So as you can see here, we were able to connect to this one without any problem. Now all we want to do right now is that one. Let's try to do the same thing here. Connect. And as you can see, immediately it says you cannot. That's a bummer. That's fine. We are expecting this. No problem. Then let's go to VPC. And let's scroll down to endpoints. And let's create an endpoint. And let's name this SSME endpoint. AWS service, which is going to be SSM. And which is going to be this one. And VPC. Okay, let's select this one. VPC is going to be lab VPC. And subnets is going to be this, and which one? Not public, definitely private subnet. And that security groups, we already have them. Do we have to select the security group? I don't think so. Full access, yes. So create the endpoint. Similarly, since we already know that, let's create it from here. Let's create the what? S3 endpoint as well. Why again come here? And let's search S3, and it's going to be this one. This is interface and gateway, and we will use the gateway. And let's select this lab VPC. And which one? Obviously the private subnet, not the public one. Full access right now. Create the endpoint. So we have the endpoint for both of them. Okay. Now let's go back to this one, the one that we already connected to. Okay. What are we going to do here? We are going to, you can go to CD this one. Oh, sorry. So it will, why is it capital? Okay. Okay, it will take you to the root directory, EWD SSM user. That's what that tilde does. Now let's configure. You are running this just to configure the region. We can just give this JSON, it doesn't matter. Okay, right now we are going to do list the buckets on this particular account that we are connected on that particular region, right? And it is listing all the buckets. And if you want, you can list the contents of a bucket by selecting same command but giving the bucket name. So it will list the files in that, and if you want to copy that to this one, just put s3 :/ then whatever name you copied, dot will download it here. But they told, oh, they didn't copy. Okay, because I have to give the slash and then tell it to copy the demo.txt. Okay, and it downloaded, and if I do this, as you can see, the demo.txt. And if I cat, you can cat it. I don't know. We don't have to. You can use any text reader like less, more, tail, whatnot. But I just cat. Okay, you can see it only has some text, but we are going to edit it. You can edit using VI or anything, but you can also add lines of text using echo. And what am I typing? I'm typing this exact thing. Okay, you can do that. And then again, as I said, the two greater than will append content to the file. And if I cat this, now it replaces the some it appended to some text. This is some random text added to the file. Okay. Now again S3 copy. I'm copying this demo.txt file to S3 bucket. Okay, in reverse. If you see here bucket first, then the local next, but here local first, S3 bucket next. Okay, it uploaded the file. Now if I go to S3, we didn't go to S3 previously, but that's okay. The lab bucket, and this got updated like right now, as you can see. But if I can download the file or I can open it, it will say some text, blah blah blah, the updated one. Okay, cool, we good there. Okay, now let's try to repeat the same thing on the other one as well. And if I refresh this now, it should remove this error because we have a VPC endpoint. As you can see, oh, it's still complaining about it. Hmm. Did we miss anything? Okay, let me. Oh, maybe it is not yet done. I think we created it, but are this created? Okay, it is created. Okay, let's see. What did we miss? Okay, so we go here, services. We pick the VPC. We pick the private subnet IPv4. We picked the. Oh, we didn't pick the security group. Okay, let's go there. Actions. Manage security groups. Oh, it picked the default one since we didn't give it. Okay. Okay, so it modified the security group. So what does that mean? Okay, remember if we go here and if we go to the security groups, previously it had only one, right? Inbound rule. Let's see. I think it is still doing it. It's available. That's it. Security groups. I don't think it will modify anything here. Okay, but let's see. I think it is just linked to that one. I don't know if that is going to show up somewhere. Okay, it's still not showing. Okay, I don't know if it will. Does it take time? It says it's available. Oh, status. It is not showing. So once we pick that one, status is pending. Okay, we need to wait until this is. Oh, status is available. I don't know what that is then. So why am I still not able to connect? It can take 10 minutes or more for the error alert to clear. Refresh the page. Oh, okay. Fine. Okay, I think that's what it is about. Let's try to do this. Let's give it 10 minutes, I guess. Okay, I will pause and I'll come back after 10 minutes. Okay, I think it takes like literally 10 minutes. So yeah, after 10 minutes, I was refreshing. It is here finally. Let's click connect and let's run the previous command, paste it and private. You can see it is successfully connected to it, and we can repeat the same. AWS configure, enter US East 1, enter AWS S3 LS. Okay, and we can copy paste all that awesome stuff. It's okay, it doesn't matter. But AWS S3 LS S3, oops, copy paste. Okay, now it will list all up. We can do all that stuff. Okay, so pretty much that's about the lab. Now let's do the DIY. Add a VPC endpoint policy to the S3 endpoint to restrict access to the lab logging bucket. So we need to restrict access to it. So how do we restrict access to it? Okay, right now if we go here and if we try to list, copy, there is nothing in that, but if there is, it's not complaining like I don't have access or anything like that. So we have to go ahead and restrict the access to it, and I think we kind of already seen where we can do that. If you go to the endpoints, not this one, S3 endpoint, there is something called policy. Now you can see it is showing you everything, like, because that's what we have given full access, or we can give custom. Let's click policy creation tool, and it's not this one, S3 VPC endpoint policy. How does it? Okay, what are we doing? We are going to allow to S3. The resource ARN is what? Let me go here. So here it's saying restrict access to that, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the principle of least privilege, means we need to give access to only this one. So we'll only give access to this one. Select, oops. So let's go here, paste that there. Action, all actions on this particular bucket. Principles, okay, if we allow to this add statement, okay, this is the statement, right? Let's generate policy. It looks like this. This will only give access to this one. Let's try. I don't know. We can go ahead and do that deny as well, but I'm just trying to give access to this one. Does that make it? Let's see. Save it. Now let's go here. This is the public one. This is the private one. Okay, I can do this with this one. Yeah, as you can see now, it is denied because previously the in here, wherever it was, policy, it was giving access to all the resources, but I said give only to this resource, but I said all access doesn't matter, but only to this one I told you. So obviously when you try to do it here, it's saying access denied. So what do you need here? We need the VPC endpoint, which is the S3 one, and the bucket logging name, lab bucket logging name, lab bucket, this one. All right, so what do you guys think? Will we get green text, orange text? I'm hoping for green text. Oh no, it's orange text. List? S3 list, list to what? Okay, do we have to give list to all? Okay, you should see the contents of and get an access denied message. Okay, yeah, that's what we are doing, right? We are getting that one. So what is your problem? Hmm. I do have it. I said S3 star. Okay, they only want us to give the list permissions to this. Okay. Do. Hold on a minute. Edit. That's it. Where you only want to give list. I will only give list. Still, I do have a list permission. What are you talking? Okay, let's click again. So they already gave, looks like it, but let us open it. I mean, do you see? I mean, that should work. I think however they are texting, they are literally testing, looks like only for a particular scenario. Yeah, they are allowing to the lab bucket everything, and then they are denying for everything. I mean, even mine works. Even my, where is this? My policy works. So they are literally denying it for the other one. So let me show you what they are doing. Okay, if you see, they are listing, giving, allowing everything, listing, that's fine. Then they are allowing lab bucket. Then they are allowing lab bucket, everything on the object and the bucket. And then they are denying everything on the this one. I mean, if I don't give access to it, doesn't that mean it is like denying it as well? Okay. If this is how you want me to give it, that's how I will give it. Why do I have? I think it's because of the list. They are fine with listing everything. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But anyways, I think here you will list everything if there are more than two buckets, but it will deny for this bucket. If there is a third bucket, you will be able to list that. I mean, it's not mentioned in our question, so why do we care? You mentioned it. That's what I did. But okay, that's okay. Anyways, it worked and I enjoyed this. I really learned something new from this about the VPC endpoints and etc. And now I know how to create them and how to use them for different services. I hope you did that too. Don't go anywhere because we have the quiz, and you know why do we do quiz? Because we can compete against each other. Done. Your PHI data is now safely secured with restricted access. This works great. I mean, I think these guys are tired at this moment. They're giving those reward like, we made them accustomed to taking rewards. Now, if we don't give a reward, they will be like sad. So we'll throw something there. All right. Okay. So fireworks, that is nice. And go ahead, hit that like, comment, subscribe, enable notifications, and do all that awesome stuff. Exit from the full screen and do that. And now it's time for quiz. Let's do that 5 question quiz. And remember, in the previous project, I scored 5-0, right? So let's see how much I will score and how much you will score. Okay, here I'm hoping for a 5-0 again. Let's hope I will do that. Which attachment types are supported by Transit Gateway? Select 3. Hmm. I know this. I know this. I think it is this one. Nope. I think it is Connect, I guess, not the customer, because customer gateway, then VPN, and then that. All right. 0, 1. Which type of gateway enables instances in a private subnet to connect to the internet? Is it internet gateway? No. It's customer gateway? No. Transit gateway? No. NAT. Okay. 1, 1. Again, pause the video, answer, and then look at my answer. Don't cheat. 1, 1. Which AWS services support VPC endpoints? All AWS services support VPC endpoints. Yes. No? 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 1, 2. 1, 2. Which type of CDR does AWS Transit Gateway support? I think it supports both. I think it supports both. Yes. 2, 2. Did you score this? Did you all score this? I don't know. The last one, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Which of the following are types of Amazon VPC endpoints? Yeah, this is a freebie. All right, 3, 2. I know, right? It's not great, and I think every one of you might have beaten me in this quiz. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy this, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, enable notification bell icons, and comment and tell that my score is 3-2 and whatever your score is, so that I will know who the winner is. That being said, if you want to support the channel, you can join the membership. Even for a month will do for me. Supporting is supporting, doesn't matter how much you are supporting. Or you can give super likes, super I think other things, I don't know what they are, super chats, I guess. But again, thank you for spending your time here. I really appreciate it. And have a nice day. All the best with whatever you are doing. See you in the next video. Peace out.